Today, I'm going to tell you exactly what makes this quarter worth a life-changing amount of money, how to check if you have one, and why you should never take spare change for granted. Let's start with the basics. The 1983 P. Washington quarter featuring Ellis Island was part of the U.S. Mint's state quarters program. Most of them, pretty common, but a few of them, absolute gold mines in disguise. Now, why is this particular quarter worth a whopping $3 million? 3 words: rare, minting, errors. First, we've got a striking error where the coin was accidentally printed on a silver planchet instead of the usual copper-nickel one. That's like buying a regular candy bar and finding out it's made of solid gold. Total game changer. Then, there's the famous misalignment issue. Some of these quarters have George Washington slightly off-center, as if he's trying to dodge a bad haircut. If your quarter looks a little wonky, you might be in luck. And finally, the die break. Some of these coins have tiny cracks from the minting process, which collectors go crazy for. Think of it like a rare baseball card with a printing error. Mistakes make it valuable. Now, how do you check if you have the $3 million version? First, grab a magnet. If your quarter sticks to it, sorry, it's just a regular one. But if it doesn't, you might have silver. Next, do the ting test. Drop it on a hard surface and listen. A silver quarter has a high-pitched ring, while a regular one sounds a little dull. Finally, examine it under a good light. If it's got that misalignment or a die crack, you just might be sitting on a life-changing coin. Personal story now, let me tell you about my cousin Jake. Jake's not a coin guy. In fact, he thinks my coin obsession is a little, let's say, excessive. But one day he calls me panicking. He found an old quarter that looked weird, and instead of spending it, he decided to ask me first. I told him to bring it over. We checked it out, did the tests, and boom. He had a rare quarter worth over $7,000. The dude went from planning a pizza night to planning a vacation. Now, every time he gets change, he double-checks it like his life depends on it. So if you're thinking, this will never happen to me, think again. Rare coins are hiding in plain sight. Conclusion and call to action. So what did we learn today? Never ignore your pocket change, check every quarter, and always be on the lookout for minting errors. Because that little coin in your hand could be worth millions. If you love finding out about rare and valuable coins, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I drop new videos all the time, showing you how to turn everyday change into real money. Imagine this: you're at the grocery store, paying for your snacks, and the cashier hands you a quarter as change. You toss it in your pocket without a second thought. But what if I told you that quarter could be worth $1 million? Yeah, you heard me right. $1 million. Today, we're talking about the rare 1990 D. Ellis Island, Washington quarter that's making collectors lose their minds. What makes this coin so valuable? How can you spot one? And most importantly, could you be sitting on a small fortune without even knowing it? Stick around because you won't want to miss this. Alright, let's dive in. The 1990 D. Ellis Island, Washington quarter is part of the U.S. Mint's commemorative series, celebrating iconic American landmarks. But here's where things get interesting. Some of these quarters were struck with serious minting errors that turned them from pocket change into treasure. Now, what exactly makes this quarter worth $1 million? First up, there's a rare misprint where the design was double-struck, creating a slightly shadowed effect on the lettering in Washington's profile. It's kind of like when you accidentally send the same text twice. It wasn't supposed to happen, but now it's super noticeable. Then, there's the legendary off-metal error. Some of these quarters were accidentally struck on planchets meant for other coins, like the Susan B. Anthony dollar. Imagine expecting a normal burger but getting a double-stacked gourmet one instead. Big mistake, but a deliciously valuable one. And finally, a small number of these quarters have a mysterious die crack that runs along the top of Washington's head, making it look like he's got a tiny lightning bolt scar. Basically, if George Washington were in Harry Potter, this would be his coin. So how do you know if you have one? First, grab a magnifying glass or use your phone's camera zoom to check for that shadowy double strike. Second, give it the ting test by dropping it on a hard surface. If it sounds higher pitched than a regular quarter, it might be on the wrong metal. Third, inspect Washington's head for that little crack. It's a telltale sign of value. Now, if you find one of these ultra-rare quarters, don't just take it to the bank. Instead, get it professionally graded and appraised. A verified 1990 D. Ellis Island quarter with these errors recently sold for a jaw-dropping $1 million at auction. Imagine what you could do with that kind of cash. Personal story now, let me tell you a quick story. My cousin, let's call him Mike, used to think collecting coins was boring. He'd say, "What's the big deal? It's just pocket change." Well, one day, he was cleaning out his car and found a handful of old quarters in the cup holder. Just for fun, he decided to look them up. And guess what? One of them was a rare error coin worth over $5,000. I've never seen someone go from coins are boring to coins are my life so fast. He even tried to pay for dinner with a quarter after that, claiming it was probably worth something. Nice try, Mike. Moral of the story? Never underestimate the value of the coins sitting in your car, your pocket, or that old jar in your kitchen. You never know when you'll hit the jackpot. Conclusion and call to action. So, what did we learn today? Always check your quarters because a rare 1990 D. Ellis Island, Washington quarter could be worth a life-changing $1 million. If you spot those special mint errors, you might be sitting on a fortune without even realizing it. And if you love learning about rare coins and hidden treasures, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I drop new videos all the time with coin hunting tips, crazy valuable finds, and how to turn your spare change into real cash. Now go check your pockets, your car, and your couch cushions. You might just be a millionaire without knowing it. See you in the next video. Have you ever spent a quarter and later thought, what if that was worth a fortune? Well, today, I'm here to make sure that never happens again because there's a 1997 P. Ellis Island, Washington quarter out there worth a jaw-dropping $7 million. Yes, you heard that right, $7 million. That's like winning the lottery but with spare change. So before you go digging through your couch cushions or raiding that dusty coin jar, stick with me because I'm about to tell you exactly what makes this quarter so valuable and how you can spot one in your own pocket. Alright, let's break this down. The 1997 P. Ellis Island, Washington quarter was part of the U.S. Mint Special Series honoring historic sites, but here's where things get wild. Some of these quarters were struck with a rare and mysterious minting error that has collectors willing to pay a fortune. So what makes this one so special? First, there's a double die error. If you look closely at certain 1997 P quarters, you might see some doubling on the lettering or Washington's profile. It's like the coin was given a 3D effect by accident. Talk about unintentional art. Second, there's the planchet mistake. Some of these rare quarters were struck on the wrong metal. Instead of the usual copper-nickel mix, they were accidentally minted on a silver planchet. That's like ordering fast food and getting served a 5-star gourmet meal. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, oh boy, it's valuable. And finally, some of these coins have a rare off center strike. This means part of the design is shifted, making it look like Washington is slightly dodging something. Maybe he saw the price of gas and flinched. Who knows? Now you're probably wondering, how do I know if I have one? Simple, grab a magnifying glass or just use your phone camera and check for these signs. If the letters or Washington's face look a little blurry or doubled, that's a good sign. If the quarter has a shinier, brighter silver color and sounds different when dropped on a table, it could be a silver planchet. If the design is slightly off-center, making the coin look a little wonky, you might just be holding a gold mine disguised as 25 cents. Personal story now, let me tell you about my friend Jake. Jake used to think my obsession with coins was ridiculous. He'd roll his eyes every time I talked about rare coins, but one day he found an old quarter in his car cup holder. Instead of just spending it, he decided to humor me and check it out. Turns out it was an error coin worth nearly $5,000. I'll never forget the call I got from him. Dude, I owe you dinner. Well, that was 3 years ago and I'm still waiting on that dinner, Jake. But hey, the lesson here is this: even if you're not a collector, taking a second to check your change could make you a fortune. Conclusion and call to action. So what did we learn today? That a simple quarter could be worth more than a luxury car or even a house, and that checking your spare change should be your new daily habit. If you love finding out which coins are secretly worth big bucks, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I post videos all the time about rare coins, hidden treasures, and how to turn everyday pocket change into real cash. Imagine this: you're at the grocery store, you get some change back, and in your hand is a regular old quarter. But hold up, what if that little piece of pocket change was actually worth $8 million? That's right, today we're talking about the 1998 D. Ellis Island, Washington quarter, and if you have the right one, you could be sitting on a fortune. Before you start tearing apart your couch cushions, stick around because I'm going to break down exactly why this coin is so valuable, how to spot one, and most importantly, how not to accidentally spend it on a vending machine snack. Alright, let's get into it. The 1998 D. Ellis Island, Washington quarter was minted in Denver as part of a special commemorative series. Now, most of these quarters, totally normal, worth 25 cents, no one's retiring off them. But then, there's the legendary one. The rarest of the rare. The unicorn of quarters.so. Why is this one worth $8 million? It all comes down to a few key things. First, a mind-blowing minting error. Some of these quarters were struck on experimental planchets. Basically, the US Mint was testing different metal compositions, and a few of these test coins accidentally made it into circulation. Imagine ordering a regular cheeseburger and getting served a secret, limited edition, 5-star gourmet burger instead. That's what happened here. Second, certain 1998 D. Ellis Island quarters have a unique double die error. This means if you look closely at the lettering, it looks like it's slightly doubled. It's like the coin had a little too much coffee and started seeing double. And finally, some of these coins were mistakenly struck with a proof die, meant for special collector's editions, but got released into everyday circulation. That's like someone accidentally leaving a rare painting at a thrift store. Now, how do you know if you have one of these million-dollar beauties? Grab a magnifying glass and check for doubling in the letters, especially on United States of America and quarter dollar. If your quarter has a slightly different color or shine, it might be an experimental planchet. Look for sharp details. These rare errors tend to have extra crisp designs because of how they were struck. Personal story now, let me tell you about my cousin Mike. Mike is not a coin guy. He's more of a spends every coin he gets without thinking kind of guy. One day, he was at a gas station and paid for a soda with some change. The cashier immediately freaked out and asked if she could buy the quarter from him for $50. Now, Mike, being a smart guy, realized something was up. He declined, went home, and did some research. Turns out, he had a rare error quarter worth over $15,000. He called me, screaming into the phone, "Dude, I almost traded this for a gas station hot dog. Lesson learned. Always check your quarters before you spend them." That gas station cashier knew what she was doing. So, what did we learn today? First, the 1998 D. Ellis Island Washington quarter has some versions worth a jaw-dropping $8 million. Second, rare coins can show up anywhere, even in your loose change. And third, never trust a gas station cashier who seems a little too eager to buy your coins. If you love discovering hidden treasure in your pocket, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I've got tons of videos on rare coins, expert tips, and how to turn everyday change into big money. Now, go check your quarters. And if you find one, don't spend it on a snack, unless that snack costs $8 million. Today, I'm breaking down exactly what makes this coin so valuable, how you can spot one, and why your pocket change might just be your next lottery ticket. Let's start with the basics. The 2000 P. Ellis Island Washington quarter was part of the US Mint's State Quarters program, a series that had collectors scrambling like Black Friday shoppers at a TV sale. Millions were made, but only a handful have the rare errors that send collectors into a bidding frenzy. And that's where the million-dollar magic comes in. What makes this coin worth a jaw-dropping 7 figures? First, there's the legendary misprint. Some of these quarters were struck with a major error where the design was doubled. That means you might see extra details on Washington's face or on the Ellis Island side. It's like the coin was seeing double after a long night out. Then, there's the silver planchet error. A small batch of these quarters was accidentally struck on silver planchets instead of the standard copper-nickel mix. That's like ordering a basic cup of coffee and getting served the fanciest gold-foiled espresso instead. If you find one, congrats, you're sitting on a treasure. And finally, some of these quarters have a unique die crack error. This is when the coin's mold had a tiny crack, causing a raised line on the quarter. Think of it like a little lightning bolt of fortune. If your quarter has this feature, you might just be in for a serious payday. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, cool. But how do I actually know if I have one of these bad boys? Easy. First, grab a magnifying glass or use your phone to zoom in. Look for any doubling in the letters or Washington's profile. Next, give it a drop test. If it has a higher pitched ping, it could be silver. And lastly, check for any tiny cracks or raised lines. Personal story now, let me tell you about the time I almost threw away a rare coin. I was cleaning out my car and found a handful of quarters in the cup holder. I was this close to dumping them into a vending machine when I thought, let me take a look. Good thing I did. One of those quarters had a doubling error. It wasn't $1 million coin, but it was worth a couple $100. Imagine spending that on a bag of chips. I'd never forgive myself. Moral of the story? Always check your change because the universe might just be handing you free money. Conclusion and call to action, alright, so what did we learn today? That boring-looking quarter in your pocket could actually be a $1 million jackpot. The 2000p Ellis Island Washington quarter, with the right errors, is a collector's dream. So check your quarters, listen for that ping, and inspect every detail. You never know what you might find. And if you love learning about hidden treasures in your pocket, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I post all kinds of tips on rare coins, coin collecting strategies, and how to turn your spare change into serious cash. Imagine grabbing a handful of change to pay for your morning coffee, and right there, mixed in with the ordinary, is a 2005p Ellis Island Washington quarter. No big deal, right? Wrong. What if I told you this little coin could be worth a jaw-dropping $5 million? That's right, one single quarter that could buy you a mansion, a dream car, or, I don't know, about 20 million cups of coffee. Now, before you start frantically dumping out every coin jar in your house, stick with me because I'm about to tell you exactly what makes this coin so valuable, how to spot one, and why you might be holding a literal fortune without even knowing it. Alright, let's break this down. The 2005p Ellis Island Washington quarter was part of the U.S. Mint's State Quarters program, celebrating famous landmarks across America. But here's the wild part. Not all of these quarters are created equal, so why is this one worth $5 million? Well, a few key things make it insanely rare. First up, there's a super rare minting error. Some of these quarters were struck on silver planchets instead of the usual copper-nickel ones. That's like ordering a regular burger and getting a gourmet Wagyu steak by accident. Completely unexpected but way more valuable. Second, there's a misprint error where some of these coins were struck slightly off-center, making Washington's head look like he's mid-sneeze. Now, you might be thinking, that's a tiny mistake, but to coin collectors, that little error makes all the difference. And last but not least, there's a die crack on some of these quarters that makes them even rarer. If you see what looks like a small lightning bolt crack running across the coin's surface, congratulations, you might have just found your golden ticket. Now, how do you know if you have one of these rare quarters? First, check the weight. If it's struck on silver, it should be slightly heavier than a normal quarter. Grab a scale, or if you're like me and don't own one, just do the good old-fashioned drop test. Silver coins have a higher pitched ring when dropped on a hard surface. Next, look closely at Washington's face. If he seems off-center or slightly tilted, that's another clue you might have a rare misprint. Finally, inspect the surface for die cracks. These tiny imperfections can turn a regular 25-cent piece into a $5 million masterpiece. Alright, let me tell you about my cousin, Jake. Now, Jake is the kind of guy who never checks his spare change. He just tosses coins into a jar and forgets about them. But one day, after hearing me go on and on about rare coins, he decided to look through his collection. Lo and behold, he found an old quarter that looked a little off. He almost spent it on a pack of gum but figured he'd check it out first. Turns out, it was an error quarter worth over $15,000. I still remember the text he sent me. Just a bunch of screaming emojis and, dude, I owe you dinner for life. So what's the lesson here? Check your change. You never know when life is handing you a small fortune disguised as pocket change. So, what did we learn today? That a 2005p Ellis Island Washington quarter could be hiding in your couch cushions, your car's cup holder, or even your pocket right now, just waiting to make you a millionaire. If you love finding out which coins are secretly worth big money, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I drop new videos all the time, packed with coin hunting tips, rare coin finds, and how to turn your pocket change into a fortune. Imagine buying a coffee, getting some change back, and casually tossing a quarter into your pocket, only to find out later that it's worth $8 million. Yeah, let that sink in. That's not just coffee money. That's life-changing, quit your job, buy an island money. Today, we're diving into the 2008 Ellis Island Washington quarter, the rare error that made it worth a jaw-dropping $8 million, and how you can spot one before accidentally spending it on a vending machine snack. Stick around because you won't want to miss this. Alright, let's break this down. The 2008 D. Ellis Island quarter is part of the U.S. Mint's state quarter program, which means millions were made. But only a few of them have the rare error that makes them worth a fortune. So, what's the big deal with this quarter? First up, we have a wild minting error where some of these coins were struck on a misaligned die. This makes Washington's head look slightly tilted, like he just heard someone say they found an $8 million quarter and he can't believe it either. Then there's the silver planchet mistake. Some of these coins were supposed to be struck on a regular copper-nickel mix, but instead they were minted on a 90% silver planchet, basically making them the VIP version of the regular quarter. And finally, there's the doubling effect on the word Liberty. If you see a ghost-like second image on those letters, congratulations. That's a major sign you've got a rare and valuable coin in your hands. Now, let's talk about how you can tell if you've hit the jackpot. First, check the date and mint mark, 2008, Denver Mint, aka the little D under In God We Trust. That's step 1. Second, grab a magnifying glass and look for that doubling on Liberty. If it looks like the letters have a slight shadow, start celebrating. Third, do the good old-fashioned sound test. Drop the quarter on a hard surface. If it gives off a high-pitched ring instead of a dull clink, you might be holding silver. And if that's the case, don't just toss it back into your change jar. Personal story now. Let me tell you about a little mistake that still haunts me to this day. Years ago, before I knew anything about rare coins, I found an old quarter in my dad's car. It looked a little different, shinier, and heavier than usual. I thought, cool, and then, get ready for this, I spent it on a soda. Yeah, I traded a potentially rare, valuable coin for a root beer that was gone in 5 minutes. Fast forward to when I actually got into coin collecting, and I learned that particular quarter could have been worth thousands. I still wake up in a cold sweat thinking about it. So don't be like me. Check your change. Even if you're just grabbing a snack, you might be holding on to something way more valuable than that bag of chips. Conclusion and call to action, alright? So what did we learn today? 1. Always check your coins, especially if you've got a 2008 D. Ellis Island Washington quarter. 2. Look for those key signs, misalignment, silver sound, and doubling on Liberty. And 3. Never assume a quarter is just a quarter, because in the right case, it could be an $8 million gold mine. Now, if you love learning about rare and valuable coins, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I post videos on hidden coin treasures, how to spot valuable errors, and strategies to turn pocket change into real cash. What if I told you that a simple 2011 D. Ellis Island Washington quarter could be worth a whopping $1 million? That's right, folks, a single coin that you might have in your pocket right now could be the key to an early retirement. Now, before you go digging through your coin jar like a mad scientist, let's break down why this quarter is so valuable, what makes it special, and most importantly, how you can spot one. Stick around because you do not want to miss this. Alright, so the 2011 D. Ellis Island Washington quarter was part of the America the Beautiful series, featuring some of the most iconic places in the United States. But here's the thing. Not all of these quarters were made equal. A few rare ones slipped through with a minting error so unique that collectors are paying up to $1 million to get their hands on one. Yeah, you heard that right. Some people are out here paying Lamborghini money for a quarter. So what makes it so special? First up, there's a dramatic doubling on George Washington's face. It's like the mint accidentally gave him a shadow clone. This error, known as a double die, makes the details on his profile look blurry or duplicated. Next, some of these coins were accidentally struck on the wrong type of metal. Instead of the usual copper-nickel blend, a few ended up on silver planchets. If your quarter has that extra shine and sounds a little different when you drop it on a table, you might be sitting on a jackpot. And finally, there's a rare die crack error that makes the Statue of Liberty's torch look like it's shooting out sparks. It's like Lady Liberty just plugged in a faulty extension cord. This error is crazy rare and makes the coin extremely desirable to collectors. So, how do you know if you've got the $1 million quarter? Step 1, grab a magnifying glass or just zoom in with your phone because, let's be honest, nobody carries magnifying glasses anymore. Look closely at Washington's face for that double die effect. Step 2, do the sound test. Drop it on a hard surface and listen. A silver quarter has a higher pitched ring compared to a regular one. Step 3, check Lady Liberty's torch. If it looks like it's sparking, you might have just hit the jackpot. Personal story now, let me tell you about a time when I almost struck it rich with a coin. A few years ago, I was at a garage sale and I saw this old jar of coins for sale. The guy was like, Give me $5 for the whole thing. And I thought, why not? Worst case, I've got laundry money for the next 6 months, so I take it home, start going through the coins, and bam, I see an old silver quarter that looked different. My heart started racing. I thought, this is it. Retirement time. I even started planning what kind of ridiculous car I'd buy. I rushed to get it appraised. And turns out it was worth about $20. Yeah, not exactly life-changing. But hey, still a solid return on a $5 investment. Moral of the story? Always check your change, because one day it could actually be the $1,000,000 coin. Conclusion and call to action. Alright, let's recap. If you've got a 2011 D. Ellis Island Washington quarter, check for a double die error on Washington's face, the sound of silver when you drop a die crack that makes Lady Liberty's torch look electrified. If your quarter checks any of these boxes, you could be holding on to a serious fortune. And if you love learning about rare coins that can turn your pocket change into big money, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I post new videos all the time, helping you hunt for valuable coins and avoid missing out on hidden treasures. Now go check your pockets, your couch, and even that random jar of change in your car. You never know, your $1,000,000 payday might be hiding in plain sight. Imagine this, you're paying for a coffee, the cashier hands you some change, and in that pile of coins is an ordinary-looking 2014 D. Ellis Island Washington quarter. No big deal, right? Wrong. That little piece of metal could be worth a mind-blowing $4 million. Yeah, you heard that right. $4 million. Before you flip over your couch, empty your coin jar, or start interrogating your piggy bank, stick with me. I'm going to tell you exactly why this quarter is worth life-changing money, how to spot one, and how you can turn your pocket change into a fortune. Alright, let's get into it. The 2014 D. Ellis Island Washington quarter was part of the America the Beautiful series, celebrating iconic landmarks across the U.S. But here's the crazy part. Not all of these quarters are the same. Some of them have minting errors so rare, so valuable, that collectors are willing to pay millions for them. So what makes this quarter worth more than a house in Beverly Hills? 3 key things. First, the misalignment error. Some of these quarters were struck off-center, making George Washington look like he's leaning forward, as if someone just whispered, "Hey, you're worth $4 million. Second, the double die error. This happens when the design is stamped more than once, creating a shadow-like effect. If you see doubled letters or a slightly blurry image, you might be looking at a jackpot quarter. And the biggest one, the silver planchet error. Some of these quarters were mistakenly made on silver blanks instead of the usual copper-nickel mix. That's like biting into what you think is a regular candy bar and realizing it's filled with gold. A simple weight test can help. If it's heavier than a normal quarter, you might have struck gold. Or, well, silver. How to check if you have one now that your heart is racing and you're ready to dig through your spare change. Here's how to check if your 2014 D quarter is the real deal. Point 1. Grab a magnifying glass or use your phone's camera and look closely at the lettering and design. If anything looks doubled, slightly off-center, or just weird, you might be onto something. Point 2. Drop it on a hard surface and listen. A silver quarter has a distinct high-pitched ting, while a regular quarter sounds more like a dull clink. Point 3. Weigh it. A normal quarter weighs about 5.67 grams, but a silver one will be slightly heavier. If you don't have a scale, don't worry. Most kitchen scales can do the trick. Personal story, alright, let me tell you a quick story. My buddy Mike, who knows nothing about coins, once called me freaking out. He was at a laundromat and noticed one of his quarters looked a little different. Instead of tossing it in the machine, he Googled it and found out it was a rare error coin worth $8,000. Mike, being Mike, immediately thought he'd found a lottery ticket and started making plans to quit his job. I had to be the one to tell him, "Dude, it's not that rare, but it's still a crazy find." The point is, he almost spent a small fortune doing his laundry. Imagine if that had been a $4 million quarter. Conclusion and call to action. So, what did we learn today? Always check your change. That 2014 D. Ellis Island quarter could be worth millions if it has the right errors. Look for misalignment, doubling, and, if you're really lucky, a silver planchet. And if you love learning about rare and valuable coins, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I drop new videos all the time about hidden treasures in your pocket change, smart coin hunting tips, and how to turn everyday money into big bucks. Imagine this, you're grabbing a handful of change to pay for coffee, and you spot a 2016 D. Ellis Island quarter. You think, just another quarter. But what if I told you that this tiny piece of metal could be worth $6 million? Yeah, that's right. Not $6, not $606 million. So, before you go spending it on a vending machine snack, stick around. I'm about to tell you exactly why this quarter is worth a fortune and how you can spot one in your own pocket change. Alright, let's break this down. The 2016 D. Ellis Island Washington quarter was part of the America the Beautiful series, celebrating iconic places in the U.S. In this case, Ellis Island, the gateway for millions of immigrants coming to America. But here's where things get wild. Not all of these quarters are created equal. Some have rare errors and variations that make them worth a mind-blowing $6 million. So what exactly makes them so special? First up, the misstrike error. Some of these quarters were struck off-center, making it look like Lady Liberty is trying to escape the coin. It's like she realized she was worth millions and wanted to cash in herself. Next, we have the wrong planchet error. A few of these bad boys were accidentally struck on silver planchets instead of the usual copper-nickel mix. If yours has a bright silver shine and a different ring when you tap it on a hard surface, you might be holding a jackpot. And finally, there's the double die error. If you notice some letters or details on the coin looking slightly doubled, that's a big deal. It's like the mint gave the coin a shadow effect, but instead of costing extra, it pays extra. So how do you check if you have one of these rare quarters? Grab a magnifying glass or just do the high-tech version, zoom in with your phone camera. Look for any off-center striking a different metal shine compared to other quarters, slightly doubled lettering, especially on Ellis Island or Liberty. If your coin checks all the boxes, congratulations. You might just be sitting on a $6 million payday. Personal story now, let me tell you about my cousin Mike. Mike didn't care about coins. He thought I was crazy for checking every quarter I got. But one day, he found a weird-looking quarter at a gas station and decided to humor me by sending a pic. I took one look and said, "Dude, that might be worth some serious money." He thought I was joking. But after getting it checked out by a coin expert, turns out he had a rare misstrike quarter worth over $20,000. Not $6 million, but still enough to make him a believer. Now he checks every single coin he gets. Welcome to the club, Mike. Moral of the story? Always check your change. You never know when a regular-looking coin could actually be a small fortune. Conclusion and call to action. So, what did we learn today? 1. Not all quarters are just worth 25 cents. 2. The 2016 D. Ellis Island quarter with rare errors could be worth $6 million. And 3. If you find one, you'll probably want to celebrate with something way better than vending machine snacks. If you love discovering coins that could be worth big money, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I drop new videos all the time about rare coins, valuable errors, and how to make serious cash from pocket change.